I've been running this Norton Commando on a ridiculous PCP deal for the last 6 months, so it's time to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and the somewhere in between. Yeah, so a quick recap. Some of the comments actually of another video on this kind of got annoyed with me because apparently I'm bragging because I keep pointing out that it costs 20 quid. But as I told him, I can't assume that everyone watches my drivel, so I'll just do a very quick recap. This is not bragging, this is just telling you what happened. So basically, this was a used bike at the time when there was a really good PCP deal on the new ones. And yeah, the 0% deal was applied to a handful of used bikes, including this one. This only had like 125 miles on the clock at Judd Racing. And yeah, they scrubbed the lost value in the bike, offered the monthly payments and the deposit, and it dropped it from 69 down, 69 a month, which is a good deal anyway, to £20 down, £20 a month. So yeah, basically got this for the next 2 years, so 500 quid, obviously plus some other costs, but we'll get to that. Now I took delivery of this in January, so technically it hasn't actually been 6 months, but if you look at the time I've been able to use it, it probably is about 6 months, and we'll get to that as well, because obviously that's part of the bad section, is the lost riding time. I've done about 730 miles, which, you know, is not great, but before you judge me, like, I've got other bikes, including like a multi-strada, that's kind of the mile muncher. I was going to do a tour in the UK on this, up to the North York Moors. For various reasons I had to bin that off, so yeah, that's kind of meant I haven't used it as much as I wanted to, and yeah, as you might have seen, I get the odd press bike in as well, so although I ride quite a bit, this has been, I've not ridden it as much as I wanted it to, but I think that's long enough to give me an idea of what this bike is like to ride, what it's like to live with, and yeah, it means I can do this video. So yeah, let's make a start. Well, talk about probably one of my favourite things about it, which is the engine. Yeah, proper old school push rod engine, so that means no overhead cam on this. You got, yeah, very long push rods which actuate the valves. It makes it something that's got absolutely bags of character. Yes, it's vibey and rattly, but that's kind of the joy of it, really. Where are we going? And yeah, I think I said before, these are not Euro 5. But what Norton does is they put these through an IVA, an individual vehicle approval, so that, yeah, so that kind of circumvents the EU rules, and then means, well, it also means they can only resell them in the UK, so that's why you can't buy these anywhere else. And what it means is the volume, which is noticeable from the moment you start it up, is just so much louder than any other brand new motorbike. And it's a smell as well. It's very much like a bike that's, you know, it's a treat for so many senses. It's the vibration, the noise, and yeah, the smell, because your carriage after you start it up absolutely stinks, but I don't mind that at all. It's a kind of rich, lovely petrol smell. Yeah, I am all for that. And obviously it is not a powerful engine, 80 brake horsepower. The torque is, I can never remember, I'll flash it up there. Torque is kind of, I guess, tells the bigger story, because it's not something you really need to rev out massively. It sounds good when you do, but it's something you can ride on the torque. It's nice just bimmling around, because it sounds great everywhere in the rev range. And for me, I think the performance is perfectly fine. I think it does actually feel quite quick. I mean, what are we in now? I don't know, because there's no gear indicator, but I think it's his third. Yeah, it picks up absolutely fine. God, the noise. So good. And just as I'm braking heavily, that's the other thing. Chassis is brilliant on this. Yes, it's not a light bike, it does weigh 230 kilos, but everything here is really nicely sorted. You've got Öhlins front and rear, you have what I was just squeezing a moment ago, the Brembo brakes, which are, how many pistons are they? They're this many. I'm not really good at remembering facts and figures like that, but yeah, they work very well indeed. There's a bit of a dead spot in the leather, but they are reach adjustable, so I wonder if I could probably dial that out in there. But once you are squeezing, plenty of progression at the lever. They do work very well, and oh yes, yes! Yeah, I've heard these described as firm before.
maybe even a bit too firm, but I don't agree with that. Certainly the damping is not soft, that there's like a firm sort of edge to it. But, well, overuse the phrase as this is, yeah, there is that sense of plushness as you go through the travel. Soaks everything up really nicely. There's only been a few times in this where I've been bounced out of the seat, which is normally the sign of less than brilliant damping. Burley House. And yeah, you do have to be pretty firm with it if you want to turn quickly because of the weight, but I don't think it feels excessively heavy. Yeah, I've always felt really confident and really comfortable riding this bike. What for me, what for me I would class as quick-ish. And you know, this is a very subjective thing, but it does just make you feel good. So today, for some reasons I won't get into, today's not a very good day for various reasons, but the moment I fired this up, it put me in a good mood, and when I rode it, and it put me in a better mood. It's just one of those bikes that you just need to take it for a quick squirt, and suddenly everything feels all right. Obviously, this is the way the bike looks as well. It is very much in the spirit of the old Commando, but it kind of looks like that has got a personal trainer, gone to the gym for like a year, maybe had some protein supplements. You know, it is that kind of modern retro mashup. I think it's great. Obviously there are some bits that kind of not ruin it, but yeah, that kind of dampen that down a little bit, and we'll go through those in a bit in the ugly section. But I think for the most part, yeah, it was lovely bike. And it's just like the detailing and stuff like that, like, you know, you've got the Norton logo etched in there and also coloured in white. The billet machined triple clamp, that looks fantastic. And then like all the polished metal surfaces, it just, yeah, it does look, yeah, people look at this and they do go like, yes, that is a very nice motorbike, and they're right, because it is. Good stuff, obviously, for me, the price, £20 a month. But I think, yeah, for anyone who got it on the 69 as well, I think you can ignore the deal that I got and a deal that I think it was like one or two others maybe got in the end, because that was really an anomaly. It was a mistake. But the £69 a deal, definitely £69 a month, £69 down deal, which definitely wasn't a mistake. Yeah, I think anyone, if I was paying that much, I'd be very happy still. So, the bad. I think one of the things initially was it was very reluctant to start, to the point at which I wondered if there was something wrong with it. But yeah, it was quite interesting. Over time, as I used the bike more and it got more run-in, it was less and less of an issue. Now it starts with no problem at all. That wasn't related to the battery or anything. I always had it hooked up to an Optimate. But yeah, no starting issues at all. Fires up pretty quickly. It's all fine. Another bad thing, side stand. It's very tall, so the bike stands what looks like kind of perilously upright, and it kind of feels like a stiff breeze might be enough to knock it over. Although thankfully that's not happened yet, because as you can see, there's lots of shiny bits on. I'd rather not get scratched. Now, in terms of actually riding it, I'm mostly really happy with that. Actually, the only thing really from obviously there's some stuff which is kind of down to character, and it's whether you like it or not, the fact that it's quite vibey and stuff like that. The thing that is bad though, steering lock. I'm not the first to point it out, but yeah, steering lock is really poor on this. So if you do need to turn around, it's going to take you, you're going to be doing like an Austin Powers kind of maneuver. It's going to take you a while. You know, not a big deal, but it's a bit annoying. Really, a lot of my misgivings about this bike is the riding time I've lost on it. So obviously there was the very well publicised recall that was on this. That actually worked out all right for me. I lost about 2.5 weeks of riding time. I was contacted pretty quickly. I think the bike was gone for around about 2 weeks. Right, you'll have to excuse this awkwardly inserted segment which doesn't match any of the rest of the footage or anything else. But yeah, just as I was editing this, I got a call from someone at Norton Communications that gave me some interesting context to the whole recall process. Now, originally they did say that the aim was to get all bikes done by end of May. Obviously that came and went. I did check actually, so the
The process was around about 58% complete at that point. They put the reason for missing that target down to customer availability and lead time. So, you know, if someone's away, or if, you know, obviously you've got the issue of some people might have moved addresses and not re-registered their bike at the right address. Obviously it took the letters a little while to arrive. I mean, yeah, this is mostly me speculating, but, you know, if you're trying to get data from a government agency, one would imagine it's probably not going to be massively quick. But that's just my speculation. But yeah, so what they said is they went for the kind of centralised approach rather than using dealers, because it meant everything got done a lot quicker. Apparently the lead time back then for servicing was 6 to 8 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks. Actually, that does match my own experience as well. But yeah, we'll get to that later. But yeah, the average time, this is to note the average, because obviously, like I said, for me it was really quick, for some quicker still, some a bit longer, but the average was 21 days for completion. And yeah, as of now, they're about 99% complete. Obviously, some bikes will, you know, they'll probably, I mean, interestingly, some bikes have been exported. So obviously, you know, good luck trying to get hold of them. Now, a lot of people did voice frustrations in sort of Facebook groups and stuff like that about the communication side of things. I did bring that up. So yeah, the answer I got from Norton was that from a customer's perspective, communications can always be better. But yeah, so the recall, I say, was fine for me. I actually lost probably less riding time then than I did from some other stuff, which I'll now hand over to me from 2 days ago. So obviously it was that, and then I had it booked in for a service. So actually I was able to keep my original service in the diary for Judd, because you know, I was worried that I'd have to cancel it. Thankfully didn't have to do that, but then it was cancelled on my behalf because there was a shortage of parts, and then it was a wait for another few weeks until I could get it rebooked. Now the first service is due at 500 or 600 miles. It's 500 or 600 miles. And I wasn't really sure how far over that I could go. I think there is a bit of wiggle room, but obviously I was a bit reticent to go like massively far over. So yeah, that was again a bit more lost riding time. Went back to Judd. Finally went to Judd for the service, had it all done, had a lovely day walking around Nottingham and having coffees, went back, got the bike, took it home. And then, yeah, it was about a week later, I noticed a little puddle of oil on the floor of my garage. It swiftly went back to Judd, who actually were really good about the whole thing. I think there's only so many people who can work on the bike, so it ended up being on about 3 weeks. Some of that I was on holiday for, so it wasn't, you know, as big a deal as it might have been if it had gone for 3 weeks at another time. But yeah, it turned out it was the inline filter. I don't know if it's like just not a great design or something, but apparently, yeah, not easy to seal. So yeah, it wasn't anything serious, but yeah, that was more lost riding time. So I've flipped to a kind of POV camera just because it's easier just to kind of point at said ugly bits. So let's start with the indicators. They're just a bit kind of, yeah, they're just not that nice, are they? So yeah, I had the Honda GB350S in the other week, which obviously is a bike which is considerably cheaper than this. And that just had some nice simple LEDs, a lot slimmer, but yeah, these kind of chunky old things just look a bit naff when everything else is. I think that's the problem, like the naff bits show up a bit more because everything else is so nice. Mirrors, really not a fan of these. I think they're just, yeah, they kind of seem very cheap. I've done what a lot of Commando owners do, which is get a cheap pair of bar ends, which I still haven't fitted. But yeah, I think bar end mirrors, I think they just look a bit nicer on it, because I think, yeah, one of the worst bits about it is just those awkward, ugly mirrors poking up the top, like so. The key actually as well, I moaned about that in a short, but the key is pretty cheap looking. It looks kind of a nice bit of extruded plastic just popping out the top there. But there is, yeah, I think there's someone on the Facebook group who makes his own coverings for them with a Norton logo, and they look a lot nicer. Yeah, this I feel looks a bit shonky. Yeah, the dial font. They changed this actually for the newer TVS bikes. I thought the font, I'm getting really nitpicky, but yeah, I just find that font just looks a bit crap. So the stuff that's kind of in between, ergonomics, they're a bit odd. It's quite a longish reach to the bars. Now is someone going to come flying around the corner as I do this? I hope not. No, we're all right. Still don't know where I'm going. Yeah, it's quite a longish reach to the bars. Your legs are very far apart. Knees are quite quite tucked. Yeah, although I've had some longer rides on this and I haven't ever felt like massively uncomfortable. I'll just stop and look at a map in a minute. And then there's like the simplicity side of it. No rider modes, no traction control, only ABS. I think it's on the front. I think a lot of people kind of like that. It's nice just getting on it and everything's simple. No sort of complicated TFT dashes or whatever. But at the same time, you're paying a lot of money. And then, well, if you're looking at the kind of the upfront cost of this, and also the more recent PCP offer, which it must be said isn't anywhere near as good as the original one. When you're paying that much money, suddenly you're kind of looking at maybe like a Triumph Speed Twin RS, which has, you know, same retro look, same retro vibes, but all the electronics, if you do want that stuff, you kind of feel like for the simplicity you'd like to pay a bit less. I know obviously there's money gone into other stuff here, like the nicely machined bits and all the rest of it, but yeah, I don't know, that I'm kind of on the fence about. There's no range readout, no fuel gauge, no gear indicator. That's the other kind of observation I've made, because only a 5-speed gearbox in this. No complaints with the gearbox itself. Yeah, works very nicely. But yeah, after all this time, I'm so used to 6-speed gearboxes in bikes that I do find myself, yeah, looking like trying to shift up to 6th when it's not there. As well, because the revs sit relatively high when you're at 70, you do kind of feel like there should be another ratio, and there's not. And that's another in-between thing, actually, which obviously is very prevalent when you are on the motorway, which is the vibes. So that, I call that an in-between things because the vibes are the part of the character of this. It's not supposed to be like a smooth, modern feeling engine. It's supposed to feel old and kind of almost a bit crude, and it does. But that does mean a longer journey, the vibes do get a bit much. Not so much for your fingers, it's more through the pegs. Your feet do start to go numb after like about an hour or so. Does that matter? I don't know. I mean, this doesn't have like touring bike written all over it, does it? I mean, people do that with these, a few people, but I think for most this is kind of like a, you know, Sunday morning, sunny Sunday morning, let's go out for a quick thrash, let's go to the local bike meet, that sort of thing. If you want to do mega miles on it, more power to you. Servicing, I think a few people who got these on the PCPs then balked at the servicing cost. So the first service in this is 300 quid. I think it's 250 for the annual after that, which, although that's going to vary depending on where you go. Yeah, I think that is a bit more than you would pay for some, but there is actually quite a lot of labour involved in that first service particularly. There is a lot of labour involved in it because the design is such that to drop the oil in this, you have to basically take the exhaust apart. Brilliant design, and obviously that means that if you actually look at the labour time, hello, see, people love the bike, there you give a lovely wave, what a nice man. Yeah, labour costs actually fairly high. Yeah, main dealer labour rates are fairly chunky anyway, so yeah, 300 quid, maybe that's not overly surprising, but it's just something to bear in mind if you are eyeing up a PCP on this. I mean, I did my research, I thought, you know, yeah, great, £60 a month as it was going to be for them before I found this deal. That's all well and good, but I was thinking, right, what other costs are there going to be? And yeah, one of them is servicing. Obviously, it's great that you've got all of those shiny surfaces. That does mean you end up having to be quite precious about this. I took delivery of this, well, winter in January, so after picking it up, I was kind of limited in what I could do with it without getting it caked in stuff. And you do have to be so careful about corrosion unless you want to be flapping around metal polish all the time. You know, worrying about what the finance company might say when it goes back again. Obviously you can, I'd end up caking mine in, it wasn't ACF 50, but it was something along those lines. That's the thing, you can give it a good amount of twist
it feels quick, but you're not doing stupid speeds. Where am I going? Grand left. Oh, that was good. A quick shifter, but I don't really care. It's quite fun to rev match downshift on it. Grantham, am I going to Grantham? Yes, I am. So yeah, 6 months in, still very happy despite, you know, some issues and yeah, despite a few issues, still very happy. A few kind of flaws with the bike, but I know it is a bit wanky and a bit obvious, but you know, it's the flaw. A lot of the flaws that there are kind of give it the character that it has. Obviously, some of them are just crap, like the like the mirrors, like the indicators. But yeah, I don't know. I like that it's flawed. I like that it's absolutely bags of character. Again, that's overused, but it's true. It is true with this. I'm not sure what else to say. I've probably rambled on for long enough, so yeah, if that wasn't off-putting, please do like the video and subscribe. I've got more stuff with this coming on. I've got a comparison. I filmed it and kind of wasn't sure if I was going to release it or not. I wasn't sure if it was stupid and pointless, but I filmed a comparison between this and the Honda GB350S that I had in, because it was kind of interesting. Two very different ideas about a modern classic motorbike, two very different price points. I kind of just started to see, you know, how much more bike are you getting for spending 4 times as much on this one. So yeah, if you want to see that, please do subscribe. If you think that's a stupid idea, let me know in the comments. Yeah, try not to be too rude, because I am a sensitive soul. And yeah, so yeah, I guess that's me done. Bye.